Okay, here's our lesson 6.2 and 6.3. We're just going to work on the basics during this lesson, and tomorrow we're going to add to it with some word problems. So make sure you get these basics down in your notes so that we can move forward. So we have already learned about a few different forms so far for linear equations. So we already know about standard form, ax plus by equals c. And in general, standard form is going to be good for showing us intercepts. Slope-intercept form doesn't show us both intercepts, but it does show us the y-intercept, or our starting value. And slope-intercept form also shows us the rate or the slope of a line, and that's the m. Now, point slope is a new one, and I don't know that you've ever seen this before. So this is what point slope looks like, and it's derived from the slope formula itself, the y2 minus y1. You may notice some of that. And it tells us a few different things. The m, just like the m in slope-intercept form, tells us the slope. Sometimes I usually tell my classes m's kind of a weird letter, right? Like slope doesn't start with m, so why do they use it? But you can think about m as meaning how to move, all right? Sometimes that helps people. So m is the slope, and then the y1 and the y2 are a point on the line. So we need to make that note, and I said y2, I meant x1. So x1, goodness gracious, x1, y1 is a point on the line. And then the last thing that I want you to note, and this is really, really important, because these have minus signs in the formula, it means the point is opposite of what you think. So the last little thing, you need to put a star next to this one that says, anything inside parentheses, we need to think opposite. So let me give us a quick example of point slope form just so you can understand what I'm saying here. All right, I lied. I'm actually going to give us an example one of each, and these are now misnumbered, so let's make this example one. Okay, so what information can we gain from each without changing its form? So this equation A is in standard form, which means I should be able to see the intercepts. And take a second to pause the video, see if you can figure out the intercepts. And I'm getting that the x-intercept is 10, so I'm going to write that as 10, 0, right? We can cover up the y. Or if I cover up the x, that gives me that the y-intercept is going to be -6. So that's 0, -6. C, that one you already know, so I'm going to skip down to C. C tells us two things. It tells me the y-intercept is at -5. So that's 0, -5. Or you could say to start at -5 on the y-axis, right? Both of those things are true. And then it also tells me the slope. My slope here, or my rate, is -3/1. Now, B is the one that you haven't seen before. So remember, the number in front of the parentheses is the slope. So this has a slope of 2/1. I tend to always write slope as a fraction, even if it's a whole number, just to get in the habit. And now this is the part that you really need to pay attention to. I also know a point that's on the line, and it's opposite of what I see here. So x plus 4 means that the point on the line, one point on the line, is, because it says plus 4, my point is -4 for the x. And because it says y minus 8, it's +8 for the y. Notice how the signs changed. Plus 4 became -4. -8 becomes +8. This is not the only point on the line. Remember, a line's going to have multiple solutions on it, but this is the one that they give us in this specific equation the way that it's written. Okay, so when you're given information to write an equation, it's best to think about what you're given and which format is easiest to start with. So we'll come back to the directions in a minute, but the starting point is going to be the same no matter what. So here they give me a slope of -2/3 and a point -6, -5. Well, you're given a slope and a point. So if you think about your three forms, the easiest one to use for that is to use point-slope form. That's why it's called that. So I'm going to do y minus, all right, I need to actually change this sign. So you can do it two ways. We can say y minus -5. Let's do that. Let's say it the normal way. And then -2/3 x minus -6. All of these double negatives right here, minus negative, those are going to change. So I'm just going to fix that first. Y plus 5 equals -2/3 x plus 6. And now, see, notice how when you change them, the signs become opposite of what they were to begin with, right? You should notice that they're opposite. So now they want us to do two things, standard form and slope-intercept form. So either way, I'm going to have to distribute first. So I'm going to distribute that -2/3, y plus 5 equals -2/3 x. Remember, the top is multiplication and the bottom is division. So that's going to be -12/3, which is going to simplify, and I'm actually going to erase. Let's just write that as -4. All right, so for slope-intercept form, we're going to get y by itself. So that means I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So slope-intercept form is going to be y equals -2/3 x minus 9. If I wanted standard form, I could have taken this original equation, and it probably still makes sense to move the 5, but I'm also going to move this x piece to the other side. So now my equation is going to say 2/3 x plus y equals -9. So the -9 is coming from the same place, but now this term is moving to the left. And with standard form, we don't want any fractions, so that means I'm going to have to multiply everything by this denominator to simplify. And we've done this before, so you should get 2x plus 3y equals -27. All right, you just have to follow the directions on whatever the question is asking. All right, last example from today. And this one is actually a little tricky because they give me 2 points, and I don't have an equation that says what to do if I get 2 points, which means I need to start by finding a slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my slope, and that's just my y2 minus y1. So if you want to pause the video and see if you can find the slope, let's make sure we get the right answer. And I got 1/2. And now, again, we have a slope and a point. If they give you 2 points, you just pick one to start with. And I will be honest with you, I either pick the one that has the simplest numbers or the least number of negatives. And actually in this one, even though the numbers are a little bit bigger, I'm going to pick 6, 6, because if for some reason I get x and y backwards, it's not going to make any difference because they're the same value. So I'm going to start in the same place that I did last time. So I'm going to do y minus 6 equals 1/2 x minus 6. And now, remember, before we can start writing either form, we've got to distribute. So y minus 6 equals 1/2 x. That's either -6/2, or hopefully you know half of 6 is 3, so -3. All right, so we're going to do slope-intercept first. To do that, I'm going to add 6 to both sides, which is going to give me y equals 1/2 x plus 3, because I did -3 plus 6. All right, there's my slope-intercept form. And then if I want to do standard form, I'm going to still move that 3, but I'm going to move the x to the other side also. So -1/2 x plus y equals 3. And then I need to get rid of my fraction, and I'm actually going to multiply by -2, just because, I don't know, I don't like that negative in the front. There's not really a good reason there. So that's going to give me positive x, or positive 1x if you want to write that, minus 2y equals -6. Okay, so rewatch any specific parts that you need to. Make sure you've got these basics so that when we add another step with the word problems, you're ready to go tomorrow.